Greetings. Welcome back to Faith Book Shoes. I know I've been on a 2-year long hiatus, but I was inspired to pick things back up based off of a conversation that I had with a coworker. So just to give you some background on that, I started a new job, and in my first week, it was this one person in particular who, was very helpful to me and helping me transition. But it was just one point of a conversation where she noticed a book that was on my desk. And that book is Kobe Bryant's The Mamba Mentality. Now, the Mamba Mentality was given to me as a gift from my sister, either on my birthday or on Christmas. And I read the book 2 years ago around the time that I started Faith Book Shoes. And I had all intention on using that book as my next podcast topic, or to inspire my next podcast topic. However, long story short, I never got around to it, and it's just been on the back burner and it's been delayed. But this one conversation sparked my interest, sparked my enthusiasm, and maybe even relit my fire to do this. And pretty much all it was is she asked me whether I was a Kobe fan because she noticed the book. And I said, absolutely. And it's just amazing how, you can have a shared admiration for, an athlete or someone, and how that shared admiration will automatically just link two people together. Especially when you think about someone like Kobe, and how the book itself, The Mamba Mentality, is something that's so desired for people who admire Kobe. We love the way he approached the game, how he played the game, and the love and the passion that he displayed when he played the game. So it automatically just kind of just bonded us. In a way, it's like, oh, okay, so if you admire Kobe, you have a certain outlook on professionalism that we can relate to. So that right there, again, it is partly what sparked my interest, but what relit the purpose is when I asked her, hey, have you read the book, or if you want to, you can borrow it. And she mentioned I really don't have much time to do that. And that's why I said, that's why I was doing a podcast, because some people may not have time to read or pick up a book, but I love to read. It's part of what I do. And not only do I love to read and use a book that I read as inspiration to bring up, common themes of the book and put it on a recording or a podcast about it, and use the themes from the book to create something. And so, again, I'm back, and I'm going to jump right into some quotes from the book, and hopefully it inspires. So the book, The Mamba Mentality, again, written by Kobe, and it starts off with a quote from one of his teammates. It's the foreword of the book, Paul Gasol. And Paul Gasol goes on to say, one of the qualities that has made Kobe so successful, and always will make him successful, is his attention to detail. It's funny because he actually has Kobe Bryant had a ESPN segment called Detail, where he breaks down different nuances of the game in a very quote unquote detailed way, and just pretty much is using it to teach people how to look at the game in a different way. So that quote from Paul Gasol, definitely resonates, because Kobe actually had a show called Detail. So it doesn't surprise me that part of what went into his approach for the game is a high attention to detail. Another quote from the book, it says, and this is Kobe saying, my mental preparation varied based on my headspace. It's varied based on where I thought my head needed to be for the specific game. If I needed to be keyed up, for example, I listened to hard music. If I needed to soothe myself, I might play the same soundtrack I listened to on a bus in high school to pick me back up, or pick me back in that place. It's funny because right here you see how he's approaching the game, basketball, from a mental place. Like whatever he needs in the moment mentally is how he prepares for what he needs to do on the court. And that's so important, because I know I found myself in times where if I have nervous, even right before I did this podcast, it's like I need to be in a certain space, so I need something to soothe me. So part of what I do that is I'll listen to some gospel music, or even at times where if I need to rev up, or if I'm like about to work out or go in the gym, I'll listen to something more fast paced, or something that'll just get my blood flowing, so that I can have the mental stamina, the mental focus that I need for the task at hand. Kobe also goes on to say, if you really want to be great at something, you have to truly care about it. If you want to be great in a particular area, you have to obsess over it. And anybody who watched or paid attention to Kobe, you just notice he was always like in the zone when he was on the court. It's like every possession mattered. And that goes hand in hand with this quote of obsession, just pure out, leaving it all on the court and giving it everything you have. It takes a level of care about what you're doing, passion for what you're doing, and as he mentioned, obsession, wanting to not settle, but give it your complete best. Kobe goes on to say in the book, breakdown is as important as set up. How you end your evening is as important as how you start your morning. I'm going to say that again. Breakdown is as important as set up. How you end your evening is as important as you start your morning. For me, this is a hard time. This is sometimes hard for me to do because I try to find a balance with having kids and, trying to do everything that you need in the household, to find moments where I can create or do things that I want to do, that will move me forward professionally or personally. But I found myself not finding the time. So I went through a stretch where it's like, hey, I'm just trying to stay up through the night and get it done. Where if I'm not getting the proper amount of sleep, if I'm not breaking down my body a certain way, in a very strategic way that allows me to wake up and have full energy, then it's going to be counterproductive. So when I hear the quote, breakdown is as important to set up, strategically breaking down and getting the right amount of sleep, making sure my diet is right, or making sure I'm doing all the things I need to do in the evening so that my morning can be prosperous, and I'll have all the energy I need to do to accomplish my goals for the day or my goals for the week, is as important as actually progressing through the goals and powering through the goals. He also says the only aspect that can't change, though, is that obsession. You have to enter every activity every single time with a want and need to do it the best to your ability. And this quote is in reference to routines. I just mentioned how you have to be very strategic about how you break down, and I gave the example of breaking down at night, making sure you're getting the right amount of sleep, or you're eating right. Kobe talks about how routine is very important to him, but his routines did change throughout the year. Life happens, so routines sometimes have to change depending on a change in circumstance. But he said, no matter if your routine changes, the one thing that can't change is your obsession for what it is that your hands are doing, what it is that your hands are producing, for what it is that you are engaging in at the time. If you're passionate about something and you really are focused on accomplishing a goal, you have to immerse yourself in it and be almost obsessive. And I know that word obsessive or obsession can have a negative connotation to it, depending on how you think about it. But in this way, Kobe, he's just talking about focus, and actually that is what the theme of this podcast, or the title of this podcast is focus, because that's what Kobe is really, I guess, giving off in this book. That's his main theme of this book, that in order to have his mentality, his Mamba mentality, or how he describes his Mamba mentality, is being focused on what it is that you want to do, but makes you being focused on the preparation, doing the work in order to accomplish what it is that you want to do, or what it is your goal is. He goes on to say, because there's a section of the book where he talks about the different people who inspired him and the things that he took from them. And one of those people is Muhammad Ali. He said, I learned a lot from studying and watching Muhammad Ali. One of the main takeaways was that you have to work hard in the dark to shine in the light. I mean, that sums up everything that I just previously said. You know, in order to have the shiny gold medal, in order to have the championship in your hand, you have to put in that daily grind and put in the work in order to see those things manifest and feel the process is what gives you the joyful feeling once you accomplish something. For example, I just ran a half marathon for the first time. And when I crossed the finish line, yes, I got my medal that said that I completed the half marathon. But what the medal meant so much more because of the road that I took to train for it. I trained for a whole year, and miles and miles in the winter, in the summer, days where it was super hot, days where it was super cold. But that grind is what prepared me and what filled me with even more joy once I crossed the finish line to complete the half marathon. You know, it was that work that I put in the dark that made the light of actually having a medal that much more, and what allowed me to actually complete the half marathon. Kobe follows up the point about working hard in the dark to shine in the light with an example of something that he did to help give him an advantage over his opponents in the game. He said, I made a point of reading the referee's handbook. Now, I've never heard that before. I never heard of an athlete reading the handbook of the referees to get an advantage. But he said he did that so that he can know how referees see the game. And it goes again into that mentality. How can I see the game from a different angle to give me an advantage? So it's important to look for those things, you know, to just see things from a different perspective, or step into someone else's shoes so that it can prepare you to capitalize or get an advantage on or see something in a different way that you wouldn't have seen it had you not stepped out of your box, I would say. Like, if he just stayed in his box as a player, he wouldn't have seen the game from the referee's point of view. And by seeing the game from the referee's point of view, he's able to now know how they go about refereeing the game, so he can take advantage, or he has an opportunity to see the game differently. That's all I'm trying to say. He sums up the Mamba mentality as this: the Mamba mentality is the mindset isn't about seeking a result. It's more about the process of getting to that result. It's about the journey and the approach. It's a way of life. I do think that it's important in all endeavors to have that mentality. And that mentality is process, focus. Focus on the process. By focusing on the process, the results will follow up. Oftentimes we're told to just see the shiny object, just see the result. But without the process and without studying, and I will say part of the process is looking at how other people process. Like I said, with Kobe, he used inspiration from a Muhammad Ali, and he talks about other people in the book, other basketball players and non-basketball players. And he focused on their process and what did they do and how he can draw inspiration from that. Just like part of my process is, yes, I went on a hiatus. I had other things going on and I was delayed, but just realizing or taking from my coworker that conversation and using it as motivation is part of the process. So I urge everybody, and I encourage everybody, and I challenge everybody to look for those opportunities to be able to step outside yourself and maybe get inspired by a conversation that you have or whatever your surroundings is, to really keen on what is it that you want, that result, and what is that step or that mentality that you need to focus, to get you focused on the process. And to encourage you, I want to leave you with the inspiration statement that was created 2 podcasts ago, but I'm going to bring it back. In that inspiration statement, which was created by me, is no matter how many setbacks, no matter what people do to stand in your way, what you are destined to do has your fingerprints on it. Only your specific gift can produce your destiny's true impact. Nothing nor anybody can permanently block the fulfillment of your destiny. It's only a matter of proper preparation and God's perfect timing. And at that, I would like to close. Thank you for listening. Faith, Books, Shoes.